Hi,
Hi, Shaji.
dear delegates. I'm Shaji, a Deputy Director with IFFK, and we are talking to Mohit Priyadarshi, who has just directed the film Kosa. I think you all have watched the film, and we are talking about the film to the maker of the film. Welcome, Mohit. Uh,
Thank you, Shaji.
Yeah, actually, it's both sad and happy moment because you should have been here physically and
Yeah.
talking to the audience uh, in a normal year. But at the same time, we are happy that we could host you and talk to you for the delegates who watched the film. COSA is in the international competition section of this year's 25th IFFK this year and I watched the film. Uh, it's quite, it was very affecting in many ways. And uh, more than I elaborating on the film or my experience of the film viewing, I want to wish to you talking to the delegates about this. And I think perhaps you could just introduce yourself, how you started, what's your background.
Yeah,
With that, we can start perhaps.
for sure. So I went to, I did my graduation in Delhi. Then I went to JNU. Then I went to FTI to study writing, basically. And while I was there, I was always attracted to the idea of independent filmmaking. With the resources becoming so democratic and us being able to, get those resources. I always thought that you did not need like whatever 2 crore rupees to make a film, and you could make it if we try and manage on our own. So there was this idea of trying to make a film on our own. But then I passed out. Then I went back to Delhi after studying in Pune, and I was in JNU. I was working as a freelance reporter. I was working as a researcher as well, and at that point of time, and I was always close to this the whole everything that was happening. So. Also, I'm very like politically conscious. So at that point of time, we had this collective called Matidari, which was a small collective. So basically, what we used to do was we used to host festivals, small scale film festivals in JNU and in other places in Delhi. And at that point of time, during one of these screenings, during one of these meetings, that we invited a lot of independent filmmakers, activists, writers, and lawyers, pro bono lawyers, journalists. And so at one point of time, one person talked about that there's this pro bono lawyer who works in Chhattisgarh, and she was talking about this boy, and she was just talking about the general whatever is happening in Bastar. But then she talked about this particular case that she was, she tried to, she was involved in the case, and uh, and she was like very honest about it. And at that point of time, I was actually recording the show, like the meeting, so I was just with the camera. And at that point of time, I was like, oh man, I want to make this is my story. And after that, I mean, there was so much. I just wanted to learn more about the situation. So for that, we traveled. I mean, I traveled to Chhattisgarh. I met a lot of people. I saw firsthand what was happening. And in theory, it was like, oh, whatever is happening is not nice. And when I went there, it was just worse, so much worse. And I we had very little experience. We did not know how to go about making this film. But I just I just took it one step at a time. We just thought, okay, let's start doing this. Just like write the script, and then from there, I just asked my friends to try and help me, my colleagues to help me, and then somebody would chip in. I started with my own money, and then slowly and steadily, it took a lot of time, obviously, but and obviously we wanted it to be very real. So we wanted to shoot in the real locations, and uh, I was very particular about that because obviously we could not like afford to shoot in studios, but also I did not want to. So and then it just we just did it together, but it was very difficult as well. But yeah, that is how it started.
So, yeah, for a fresh person who is fresh into filmmaking, he chose a very unlikely subject. that too happening in the tribal heartland of India, was the Chhattisgarh. And it's not very, may not be a very easy decision. You could have had, of course, you are a political person, so that seems a very natural road to this filmmaking, making of this film.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So instead of choosing a very easy subject or something, you are also into. You must have been watching lots of even other streams of films.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I'm grown up on Bollywood and Hollywood, so
yeah,
I love escapist cinema. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I see. The idea was not to make a political film. Honestly, it was just to make a film for me. But it just drove me so much. I did not think that I'm trying to make a statement, or obviously there was this time when I'm very influenced by the third cinema movement, in Latin America. So I did realize that there is this potential of having films as more than just escapism. That was there, but it was not like I did not set out to. I did not have it in my mind that I'll make a film about a marginalized community or something like that. So it was. I was just so driven to it after a certain point of time, and then I talked to my friends and colleagues, and everybody was like, the whole crew got together and they really liked the script, and then we just wanted to do it. So that was the reason, I think. So it was not. I don't think it was a very, very conscious decision to. We did not even foresee the problems, that will happen. Like it was actually we were kind of naive, because if that naivety was not there, maybe we would not have made this decision to make such a film.
Yeah. And okay, this film is like the film in a nutshell. Like it's about a boy who has been caught by the police. As a case of mistaken identity. The police is looking for a 30-year-old, Naxalite leader.
Yeah.
But the boy who has the same name is caught into this web of the whole tragedy.
Yeah.
So this the Chhattisgarh thing. Have you been there before this? And I understand you have been there for quite some time. And how long this process take also, like
it took a while. So basically my first idea was that I wanted to see firsthand. So then I asked, I tried to arrange for trips, but it is very difficult to even try and travel in Chhattisgarh, in the southern parts of Chhattisgarh, like in Sukma and Bastar, and those areas are very difficult to travel. So I tried to ask local people to try and help me. And then I was not there because it's very difficult for a visitor to go there and stay for a long period of time. So I used to go there, and then I used to, I used to come back to Delhi. And then I was also trying, at the same time, I was trying to cast local people. I was trying to cast my actors, and I was trying to find locations. So I was doing everything at one go. So I was researching as well. I was looking at what the villages look like, and, everything about the Adivasi culture. But at the same time, I was also looking at locations and stuff like that. So I went there, I think, about 3 or 4 times. And the whole recce took a long time. I realized that we cannot shoot in Chhattisgarh. I mean, we could have shot in Chhattisgarh, but I just thought it might create a lot of other problems for people who are already working there. So
there are already lots of lots of problems for them themselves.
Lots of problems already are there. So I did not want to add to their problems. And even then, there were people who said, no, we'll try, and if somebody stops the shooting, we'll go to court, and we'll try. And I said, I don't want you to get involved with all of that. Like already you have so much on your plate, so I'll just try and find another location. So we found this location. The village that we shot in is in Madhya Pradesh, which is very, very close. Like it's like one of the border of Chhattisgarh is just like 1 kilometer away. So, and it is a Gondi village as well. So it looked very similar to me, and there are some differences. Obviously, there are a lot of differences in some ways, but it was something that was really working for us. So we shot mostly in Madhya Pradesh, and then the town scenes we shot in Bihar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because again, as I said, it was a very difficult process, and I was running out of money constantly. So I just thought, like in Bihar, it was easier for me because I'm from Bihar. So it was just a very practical decision to, shift the town scenes to that state.
Okay, so basically you shot in Madhya Pradesh, and
Yeah. All the village scenes were shot in Madhya Pradesh, and all the court scenes and all were shot in Bihar. There are a couple of days that we shot in Cuttack as well, in
Okay. Yeah,
Odisha.
we see the credits here.
Yeah. So that was there in the middle, and I mean, it will take a long time to just talk about the process. But there was a point of time. Basically, we were shooting in Cuttack and we ran out of money. So and the I mean, obviously there was some issues, and then we just thought it's better to actually figure out the whole thing and then finish the thing once and for all. So I mean, I mean, we did not anticipate a lot of problems that ultimately we ran into, but the idea was just to keep going and you know.
Yeah, I think actually we are listening to a very familiar pattern of story. Like, the new filmmakers finding it difficult to funding for their projects, especially independent projects.
Yeah, and with like if you have something which is kind of so sharp, then it's even more difficult
Yeah.
to find. And also, I did
Can
not.
you tell?
Yeah.
Sorry, can you tell us how was the funding experience for you? Like,
Yeah, exactly. So that is what I wanted to like. That was what I was talking about. I did not like, because the film. I just wanted to be very honest with the film. I did not want to like make it masala or whatever. Like I did not want to pander to, the or whatever the like. So because I did not want to pander, I realized that also we are very inexperienced. So I realized that probably it is not a great idea to try and get producers, because I did not even think that we'll be able to get producers. Like I said, so we started with our own money, and then I just after a certain point of time, I realized that I cannot do it because I do not have that much money. So then I just asked my colleagues and friends. I would show them clips. I would show them what we have already shot, and I would go to them and I would be like, see, if you can give me this much money, I'll be able to do the next thing, and I'll be able to take the next step. So it was just like that, and that is why it took a while also, because there were points of time when we would have to halt the process, and even in the post production, because constantly we were running out of money. So I mean, in a way, it was, in hindsight, it is not the best decision to not have a certain amount of money before you embark on a journey. But yeah, I mean, we did not have like proper producers that way, so it was very, very difficult. The funding was extremely difficult, but um, we took it like one step at a time. So yeah.
wise. How did you choose the actors for the film? Like, it's obvious that they are not professionally trained
Yeah.
ones,
So
except a few. Yeah.
yeah, so like I said, the whole idea was to make the film raw, and like so I also wanted the actors to be non-professionals, because I thought they just have to live their lived reality. They just have to kind of not act out, just be themselves. So for that, I wanted like real people from the not particularly in southern, like in from the villages, but at least close abouts. So
Yeah.
when I was recceing in Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, we simultaneously we were also casting actors. So I was going to theater groups, and I was meeting local people, and we were taking auditions, and that is how we got Kunal, who is the guy, the actor who plays Kosa. So he was working in a theater group in Bilaspur, and
Oh,
and the great thing is, so the policeman, the guy who plays the SI,
yeah. It's
Sunil
fantastic piece.
Sunil Chipre,
Yeah.
he Kunal is basically was working in his group, right?
Okay.
So they are from the same group.
Right.
So that is how, and then we went to Madhya Pradesh, and for some other roles like Nuria, who plays Saira, and Vittal is like an actor who has been working in FTI films for a long time, and he's also a very like he's probably the most well-known actor of all the people in there.
Yeah.
And there were other actors. There was Veera Sathidhar, who acted in Court, but unfortunately, for some reason, we could not include his scenes in the film because it was not working out for some reason or the other. But there were some other people also who were involved in the. I mean, they were acting, but like they did not. I had to because of the length of the film and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it was just non-professionals. All the village people and everything was all non-professionals, and even the other people are mostly non-professionals, except for maybe one or two people.
Yeah. And us, like the film gives us sorry, the film is about talking about this Adivasi plight, in a very harrowing manner, and it must have been very difficult, for the actors to act it out. Though, of course, they belong to the area, they know the problems they're facing there. So, how was it like,
It was
exactly from them?
it was very difficult. It was very difficult, and it was emotionally traumatic for some of them. It was very difficult. They would get into a space where uh, it was very difficult for me to be able to communicate with them at times. And like the picking up scene where Kosa is picked up in the night for the second time
Yeah.
was really a very, very difficult scene to shoot. Again, we did not foresee a lot of issues that happened, but it was for some of the women who are in, some of the girls who are working in who have already, like, there is this person called Hidme, who is not a major character in the film, but she is there. She's there in the tractor, she's there in the bus, she's here and there. And for people like her, it was really, really difficult to, because she was reliving that trauma, and it became very difficult for us also to be able to communicate at those times. Yeah, so I think generally it was not easy, and also practically it was not easy because where we were shooting there was no electricity, there was no clean water. So it was practically it was difficult just to make the charging the batteries and stuff and everything, just taking care of the equipment, but also to take care of our health and everything. So it became it was but also then the whole thing was like the whole village was supporting us, the entire village was supporting us, and that kind of gave us the strength to keep carrying on.
And coming to the one of the characters, you show that city-bred an advocate is coming and argue. I mean, taking up their cause and their case. So, and the magistrate at a point saying this about talking about contemptuously about these city girls, coming charmed by these issues of tribalism and all.
Idealists. Yeah.
Do you think was it a conscious decision, or do you think is it affecting the agency of tribal people? I mean, bringing a character from outside their area and arguing for them, trying to save them. Is there any?
I mean, see,
we find I'm just
uh,
as an angle.
no, I think from her perspective, from Saida's perspective, she is doing the right thing, and it could be seen as appropriation, right? Because they don't need saviors, they don't need saviors at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Adivasi people don't need saviors, and they have been fighting their fight for a long time, so they don't need other people to come in. But from her point of view, it is just her innocent idealism, like she is not even thinking that, she just wants to do good, and she's trying to do she's just trying to do her own good, and and she's very honest about it, so she wants to fight about it. And then she probably realizes that it is not something that she could foresee, the problems that would happen, and if she's able to live this kind of a life, and if she really wants to commit, then she will have to commit fully, like you just can't commit half-heartedly in that way. So I don't think for me, I've just seen a lot of people. I've seen lawyers, I've seen activists who come from a different kind of a situation, who are maybe educated, but they're really driven towards trying to. And I'm not only talking about the Adivasi condition, or we don't have to pick a topic and we pick somebody and pick a community and say we have to be representative. Nobody wants to do that. But I think there are a lot of young people who are really driven towards doing their actions speak. So I think Saida is like one of those characters, but she's also trying to find herself, and then she realizes that probably it is not as easy as she thought it would be. Or I mean, she did not think it would be easy, but I don't know what the next stage for Saida would be after that. So
and Khosa, the film, sometimes must have been a very conscious decision. Sometimes it feels like a documentary kind of treatment you have given, and then there are filmic treatment. So have anyway influenced by the third cinema kind of movement by Solanas on that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was very, like whatever resources we have to make do with it. So when we started, we basically, a friend of mine who had a camera said, okay, you can take my camera to shoot. And then another friend who is from Kerala, Ananta Krishnan, who is one of the cinematographers in the film, he used his own lenses. He had a lot of manual lenses that he used for, he used to collect, and he's obviously a filmmaker himself. So we just tried in whatever we had. So we did not have anything. We just basically had a tripod and we had handheld, and that's it. And we could not do anything else. So everything else had to be improvised. So and then we realized that also, not like, obviously we realized this before the shooting, that this is the only equipment that we'll have, but we wanted it to be in the language of the film. Like whatever disadvantage we had to turn it into the language of the film. And it was a conscious decision to keep it very like raw, but and very documentary type in some moments when the protest is happening, or those kinds of scenes. But at certain other points of time, yes, there was this element of it being cinematic also, because ultimately we are film students and we are film lovers. So I could not let go of that aspect. So it was conscious in some ways. In some ways it was, I think, subconscious. It was like in the moment as well. Sometimes we had to make a decision to treat it like that, and keeping obviously the overall flow of the film in the mind. So yeah.
So how is the audience response now? It has already been in the festival circuit, a limited.
Yeah, very
travel in
limited. Very limited, because like even the UK was in a lockdown, so
Yeah.
it was, and we also had a capped number of viewers at Raindance, but it was very positive. A lot of people reached out to me, and there were some people who are people who are aware of the Adivasi condition and who are very familiar with what is happening in India, and they reached out to me from the UK. But the positive, and I think I could not go to Calcutta because, again, with the pandemic, they were not letting people from outside West Bengal come in. But I had a really nice response. A lot of people reached out to me, and I think a lot of students have really loved the film, and a lot of young people are liking the film. But also a lot of, like, I think I don't think it's an age thing. I think a lot of people who want these kinds of films to come out have really taken to the film. And I think they like the honesty of the film. And I think overall it's been so positive, even though I've not been there. So it's just what I've been hearing from people, secondhand. So
that's quite great.
Yeah.
I think. And okay, after all these efforts, and what could you say as a lesson you learned from this, the whole making of the film?
I think there are two things. One is, like, if you think of something and if you're really committed to it, that you can do it. It'll be very difficult, but you can do it if you're really committed. And the second thing is just to be less naive, like plan better. And as filmmakers, I learned a lot for me, like, there's a joke, like an inside joke in my crew. I often say that, FTI was not my film school. This is my film school. Making the film was my film school.
You unlearn a lot of things.
I learned, I had to unlearn a lot of things, and I realized, shooting in uncontrolled scenarios and not shooting in uncontrolled scenarios is a completely different thing. So there was a lot of unlearning going on, and I think that will continue also with time. So I mean, mostly that. But I also think, like, we should. I am very happy that we took this decision, and and there were times during the process of the film when something was not happening, and we were like, okay, should we have tried to make such a difficult subject? Are we capable enough of delivering on something which is so serious? But I feel there's this validation. I feel like to complete the film and to show it to people in itself is a good thing for us. And so that is a lesson, that if you are committed to something, you should go ahead and do it. And, things will happen.
Yeah, that's nice. So also, I think it's time to wind up. But at the one last question, perhaps I'll ask is, like, we are talking about a very sensitive issue. As we all know, it's about dissenting and questioning what's is what many are afraid to say on one level. On the other side, there are fights going on for quite some time. I'm not giving the names, but everybody is aware of that. So, are you going to censor this film? What are expectations?
I am very torn about it. I know this is a film which will be difficult to show to general audiences because of I don't think the audiences would have a problem, but I
Yeah.
think the censorship might be there, and so that is something that I can foresee some issues happening, but I'm not really sure if we will apply for a science certificate. At this point of time, I'm kind of conflicted, and it seems like with everything, with the situation which is going on, and so much censorship already happening. I think it will be difficult to show this film, but that is the whole. I mean, that is the idea as well. Like even if it's difficult just to show the film, right? I mean. Even if people are, you don't need a censor certificate to show it to people. But let's see. I mean, this is something that I'm saying right now, and maybe 6 months of trying to take the film to people, it'll be a different kind of story. So so
Actually.
I hope that students show it, universities show it, collectives show it, and hopefully with the pandemic ending, that we can see it in theaters as well in some places. And obviously it started in Calcutta, and it's happening in Kerala. So we'll take it from here, like step by step, hopefully.
Okay. Thank you, Mohit. Thank you for the film, and thank you for finding time to talk to us.
Thank you, Shaji.
Yes.
I would have been very happy, and I'm very happy that you, like even in such times, it's really motivating for film goers and filmmakers to have the festival. We were really concerned about whether the festival will happen or not happen, but I'm really glad. I know it's difficult to do it in 4 cities, and you have to take that decision, which is also not easy for you. But I'm very, very happy that that you have managed to do it, because a lot of festivals have gotten cancelled, and that is kind of demotivating to filmmakers and obviously cinephiles as well. So I'm really, really thankful to you guys to just do the festival, and just in to return to normality at least a little bit. So thank you for that.
Thank you for recognizing that. Thank you.
And I hope the audience enjoys all the great films that are there on offer, and that it is a great success, the festival.
Yeah, that's what we also hope at IFFK. Yeah,
absolutely, it will be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shaji. Bye. Take care.
Bye. Take care.